Good afternoon, Ritesh. Good afternoon, Ritesh. Good afternoon, Ritesh. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How about you?
Uh, I'm just checking. Voice is not clear. Good afternoon, Ritesh. 2 minutes. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How about you?
Just checking. Voice is not clear.
Can you hear me?
Further on the left, yes. Can hear me, kids?
Hello. Guys, if you can hear me about LNC in chat box.
Um, no, Ritesh, I can't hear you.
You still can't hear
Yeah, now I can hear.
me?
Student, join, please. Join the class.
Okay, let's confirm they can hear me. Okay, we can see some LNCs in the chat box. Thank you for confirming, guys.
Clear is it?
So just before we begin, I would like to understand how many of you were able to complete the repeating group flow or posts. Type out +1 in the chat box.
So he's asking something. How many of you completed?
'Thank you, Ayush, for the confirmation. Others? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people done. Rest of you, if you have not done, put -1 in the chat box. Hello, folks. Are you here? I can see like 15, 20 people in the class, but only 5, 6 people are responding. Why is that? Okay, anyways, let's get started. So today we are going to deal with a recursive workflow and scheduling. Okay. So we did backend workflow last time before I visited the college. How many of you remember that? Type out +2 in the chat. Backend workflows. How many of you recall what backend workflows are? If you don't recall and if you want me to repeat, please type out -2 in the chat box. Ayush, yes sir means you have understood +2 or -2. Okay, Pranav, thank you. Navneet Akshay says -2. Hari Kishan says -2. Okay, a few of you -2. So let's quickly understand what is backend workflow, right? So backend workflow is very, very similar to the front-end workflows that we have seen so far, right? Just that the backend workflow is running on Bubble server, right? And hence you can schedule them. Okay. So closely observe. I'll click on so backend. The way you go to backend workflow is this one, this particular tab, third from the top, right? So once you click on this, you can add a workflow from here, right? And then it'll ask you what is the type of backend workflow you need, right? Is it API workflow, which is a normal workflow? Is it a recurring event, or is it a thing is modified? Okay. And then we also have a custom event. While custom event is very similar to the custom event that we saw in the front end, okay, recurring event and a thing is modified is something special, which we are not going to cover right now. Okay. Our focus is mainly in this API workflow right now. Okay. So if you click on this, it's asking you what is the endpoint name for this particular workflow. Okay. If you recall the workflows generally, right, in your, let's say, registration new, if you go here and if you go to register, then the workflows generally start when a button is clicked, okay, or when the page is loaded, or the user inputs something on the input box, and so on and so forth, right? So generally the workflow on the front end is when the user does something, okay? But on the backend workflow, it could be very different. And that's why it's asking you, what is the name of this particular endpoint? Okay. So just so that I can tell you how to call the backend workflow and how it runs, I'm going to register a user from backend. Okay. Or let's say we will send reminder. Okay. Remind user. Okay. Now, because we are sending a reminder to the user, we will need who is the user. Okay. So I'm creating a parameter here called user and type is user. Okay. So this is the key. This is the value, right? Type of the value, which is user. Now what I'll do is I'll go here and we have email and I'll send email. Okay. Closely observe. I'm going to send the email to the user, which is a parameter that we have created in the API call. Okay. The backend workflow. And I'll use their email. So user's email is where I'm going to send the email to. Sender name could be anything. It's a text field basically, right? It could be Sayyadri. Okay. If you want to add CC, you can add it over here. BCC, you can add it over here. Subject goes here, right? Reminder one for email verification. Okay. Now body could be hello space. We will insert dynamic data and users. We have the name. Okay. And then put a comma. Double enter so that we leave a gap in between. And then we say, please ensure you have verified your email. Okay. And then we can also add regards Sayadri. Okay. Now we might want to send about 3 reminders. So what I'll do is I'll add a new parameter here. and say reminder number, and this will be of type number. Okay. Closely observe. Okay. Or let's remove this number for now. We are sending only one reminder. Okay. We'll come to the looping thing slightly later. Okay. We're sending this reminder after 2 days. Okay. So we'll go to data and we'll go to user and we'll create a field called verify email. Okay. Yes or no. Or we'll call it as email verified. Yes or no. And by default, this will be no. So in the backend workflow, right, where we have this remind user, in this particular case, okay, we will put only if users email verified is no. Only then we are going to send the email. Okay. This is how we create a backend workflow. Until here, are you able to follow? Are there any questions? Are there any questions from anyone until here? How do we create a backend workflow? Is this clear? Okay. What doubt do you have, Preran? Preran, do you have any questions or did you mean no questions? Okay, great. Now, the way we call the backend workflow, it should be called from the front end generally. So we have button register here. We have signed the user up. We have reset relevant inputs. We have this error alert. We have make changes to student details where I don't know when did we add this. This was not, I mean, this is not required for button register. So I'll delete it. These are the 4 steps that we had, right? So we can go over here and search for schedule API workflow. Once you have this, you will get a drop down to select all the workflows that are available in the backend workflow. So for example, if you go to backend workflow, we have remind user, we have test backend, and then update roll number, right? So the one which we want to use right now is remind user. Once you select a particular workflow, it will ask you for the parameters that particular workflow requires, right? It's like calling a function. Okay. It's like calling a function. So it is asking you for a parameter that is required. And in this case, we will use current user. Okay. We can see that we have just signed the user. So current user will become the parameter here. Scheduled date. If you want any backend workflow to run immediately, right, then use current date and time, which means it runs immediately. If you want to schedule this after 10 seconds, then plus seconds, 10. If you want to schedule this after few minutes, right, plus minutes, whatever is the number. If you want to schedule it few hours later, then this one, few days later, then this one, few months later, then this one, few years later, then this one. Okay, these are the options that you have when you are scheduling any backend workflows. Okay, so let's assume that we want to schedule it after 1 day. Okay, I'll check this box for now and keep it as is. Now, let me quickly go to logs, scheduler, click on search. So there's nothing being shown here, right? Now let me go to the preview mode of register new. I believe this is U and P. So I'll register with test.com from password, confirm password, copy. Oh no, that's not copy. Okay. Okay. I'll use some password test. Sorry, test at test. I'll click on this one. Okay. Now the registration is done successfully. Let's look at the app data and let's go to users. You can see the registration is completed. Okay. Now, if I go to the backend workflow, scheduler, or sorry, to the logs and scheduler, click on show. There is one call that is scheduled to run one day after, right? Today is May 9th. It was 301 when I registered. And we have scheduled this one day later. And that's why you can see that it is scheduled on May 10th, 3 p.m. Okay. So tomorrow, exactly at this time, this particular workflow will be running. And before that, if they're verified, then the email will not be sent because we have added a condition asking users email verified is no, only then run this. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow? Any questions? Okay. Now this is backend workflow. Now, today's topic is recursive workflow, right? Which is what is recursive? What does recursive mean? In general, what does recursive mean? Repetitive, right? Where you are calling the function, looping in calling itself, right? Calling itself is recursive. So you are making a recursive flow where the function is getting called itself. Okay. Now, how do we create a recursive flow? You can schedule an API workflow, right? So we are in the backend workflow. We had remind user. Okay. And in the remind user flow, we are scheduling an API workflow and we will call remind user itself. User is user. Scheduled date and time is current date and time. Okay. Plus days 1. Okay. So what happens is once the user is registered, right, we are making a API call from here. And this is called after 1 day. And after 1 day, this particular flow will be called. It will send an email if the user is still not verified. And then we are calling the function itself after 1 day from then. That is the second time this particular call will be called 2 days later from now. Third time it will be called 3 days later. But how long do you want to do this? Do you want it to go on an infinite loop? Is it a good practice to have an infinite loop? Like keep sending them email until they verify? You don't want that to happen, right? So you have to put a condition until when do you want to send the reminder. Okay. One way of doing that is to check how many times the function has been called, right? If you remember the for loop, you have value initiation, condition check, and then increment or decrement. Okay. So what we can do is we can add a parameter here, okay, which could be iteration, right? And this could be a number. Okay. So I created one more parameter here and I've called it as iteration type number. So the first time I'm calling, I'll make the iteration as 1, right? So from the front end, when the user registers, we are calling this particular backend workflow and iteration is 1. I'm going to the backend workflow and wherever we are scheduling itself, what I'm doing is I'm taking this iteration and I'm adding it by 1. Okay. But we will make this call. We will schedule an API workflow, okay, to itself only if iteration is, let's say, less than 3. Is this clear? Which means it will be called 3 times. After that, will it go into an infinite loop now? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe. Do you think we will go into an infinite loop even now? Hello, hello, hello. Did you understand what is recursive workflow now, guys? Okay. So scheduling is the same thing. Okay, this is a recursive workflow, and then we have scheduling, right? You basically schedule it. If you're scheduling it once, then that's called schedule. If you're calling it itself, then it's a recursive workflow. Okay. Now let's understand a few things. Okay. If we want to run a backend workflow for a list of things, okay, we have done this already. As I can see, no, this is a recursive workflow. Okay, we have done a recursive workflow, but that's fine, right? So let's try to create a use case where we want to uh, generate one thing for list of things. Okay, we want to run a backend workflow on list of things. Okay, so the use case could be we want to generate. So now we have added the new field called email verified. Okay, for the users. Let's assume that we are doing a new feature in the portal and we want that to be run on all the users. Now we have 126 users registered, whereas email verified is no for only one user and all the other users, it is empty because email verified was something that new we have added. Okay. So let's try to understand how do we deal with this. Okay. Now I'll go to the admin page. Right. We have this group admin here. Update roll numbers was something that we had run before. Right. I'll add one more button now and we will call this as verify email. Okay, this has to run for all the users. We'll hide this for now. Okay, we'll go to verify email. Add workflow, right? Now we want them to verify their email address. So what we can do is schedule API workflow on a list is an option. Previous time when we used backend workflow, we did schedule API workflow, right? So we were scheduling a API workflow just once. Now what we're doing is we're scheduling API workflow on a list of things. And when you do this, it'll ask you first thing, that is what is the type of thing on which you want to run the workflow. Okay. And this is for users. What is the list to run on? Right. So I'll do a search for you users, and I'll use one condition here, which is email verified is not equals to yes. Right. This is the list that I want to run on. What is the API workflow? So we don't have any API workflow which is meant for email verification. So I'll go to the backend workflow again. I'll click on this plus. I'll go to general API workflow, and I will mention this as email verification. Okay, or verify email, whatever it is. Ignore rules, and we want one parameter that is called user, right? And type is also user. Now, we don't have anything for email verification as such unless and until you do it while the user is getting registered. User is registering, right? So if you go to the workflow here, sign the user up, you have sent an email to confirm the email, right? You could do this. But now we're going to do it offline, or rather separately. Okay. Just to understand how this works. So we're going here, okay, we're going here, and we are doing this from here. So we can send an email to them, right? And this could be insert dynamic data, users email, sender name is Sayadri, subject is verify your email ID. Okay. Now the body can be a user's name, comma, please click on the link below and verify your email address. Okay. Verify your email address. And we will send the link over here. Okay. We'll come to the link a bit later. And then I'm going to add or whatever. Okay, say add the team or whatever it is. Right? We are sending this email. But before that, we have to ensure that there is some unique code that is generated for the users so that we can verify if that is right. Okay. So data is make changes to thing. We're making a change to a user, right? And we have to save the OTP or some unique code so that we can verify it. So we have not created anything for verification, right? So I'm going to create a new field. I'm going to call this as OTP or verification code. And let's make it as text. Here, I'm going to search for calculate formula. We have something called generate random string. We can mention how many characters do we need, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. I'll go with 4. You have an option to choose whether you want just letters, you want non-capital letters, which is small letters, right? whether you want to use numbers, whether you want to use special characters, right? I'll go with only number-based OTP now, right? So it will generate a number-based 4-digit number and it will save it in the user's metadata. Okay. Now we'll create a new page. Okay. We'll create a new page, which will be verify. Verify. And this is the page where they will be redirected to. And we will verify their email address. Now we can either verify it via the OTP that we generate, okay, which will be sent to their email address and they have to enter it over here, right? Or we can also use a method called login via magic link. Okay, so Bubble gives you a magic link, which when clicked will log you into the portal, right? We can use that as well. Now, I'll quickly show you how it needs to be done via OTP, and then we will go via the magic link, right? So we will use an input box here, and we will add a button, right? Button will be verified, and input box will be OTP, okay? And we know that it needs to be 4 characters long. So we will limit the number of characters, maximum is 4, right? And this should not be empty. Okay. Now, once they give the OTP here, we click on verify, and we should not be checking it on the front end. We should be sending it to backend workflow to verify whether the OTP that they have mentioned is correct or not. The reason being, if you verify it on the front end, then you are exposing the OTP for the users. Okay. We'll share you a video on how OTP verification can be done. Okay, you can watch that video. But for now, let's go with magic link verification, right? So then this is not so much relevant. What we will do is we'll search for magic and we have send magic login link. Yeah. So until here, is this clear? Okay, how do we generate OTP and how do we verify it? Is that clear, guys? Did you understand whatever we did so far? Or do you have any questions? Okay, I'll assume that it is clear. Okay, email is users. Email, subject your magic link. Okay, and then body will be including the magic link and all of that. Link expiration, you can add up to 24 hours, right? 0 to 24, you can add that. I'll go with 2 hours. Whether they should be logged in. Okay, yes. Navigate on login. Once they are logged in, where should they go? Right? We can take them to the verify page, right? Send data on login. If you want to send any data when they are logged in, then we can do that from here. Navigate on failure. That is, if they log in after 2 hours, if they use the link to log in after 2 hours, then the link will not be valid. Hence, where should they be navigated? On failure. We can send them to maybe register or we don't have a login page, so maybe register new page where they can also log in. Okay. Now this will send them to the verify page along with them being logged in. Okay. So what we can do here is we can say when the page is loaded, make changes to a thing, and the thing is current user. And we can mention email verified equals to yes, because we are going to send them a magic link to their email address, and they have access to that particular link because they clicked on verify email and they're logged in onto this particular page. Okay. And that's why we are mentioning that they're able to access their login email ID. Okay. I'll delete this particular thing which we created for OTP. That was for the OTP method that I just mentioned before this. We don't need this for the magic login option. Okay, or even we don't have to send the email because send magic link will take care of that. So just for reference, what I'll do is I'll get the magic link here and I will terminate the workflow over here, which means this and this step will never run. Okay, so send magic link, we'll send it. Let's quickly check if this is working fine. So for that, what I'll go do is I'll go to admin, right? And come back to the workflow and we have verify email. And here it's asking us which is the workflow that we want to run for all the users. And I'll use email verification. It's asking us who is the user that you want to run this workflow for, because this particular workflow that we used, right, requires user as an input. So it's asking who is the user that you want to run this workflow for. Okay. This is the list of users that we want to run on. Here it's asking who is the user. If you mention this as this user, then closely observe, we are running for a list of users and each record, this user refers to each record. I'll show you that. Okay, schedule date and time, let's say current date and time plus minutes 2. Okay. Also, what I'll do is I'll not run it for all the users. I'll run it for only items until, let's say, 20. I'll run it for only 20 users. And I'll put a interval of 5 seconds. I'll tell you why. Okay, if we go here, we have seconds. No, we don't have. So let me just change this from seconds 30. Okay, make it as 30 seconds. I want to show you something, and that's why. Right. I'm going to log in as a admin. So let me. So I'm going to log in as an admin on the admin page so that I have access to this one. I'll click on verify email. I'll go back to the logs. I'll click on show. Right. You can see that we have got all of this. Closely observe. We have 2 at 326. We have 2 at 327, 2 at 328, 2 at 329, 30, and so on and so forth. Right? The reason being, right now the time is 3:24. And we scheduled this to run after 2 minutes with the interval between each of the records being 30 seconds. Right? So because it's not showing us seconds, it's having 2 for every minute. Okay. Now, the current user is the one who has run this workflow. But the parameter, the user record, you can see each of it is a different user. Okay. This is the unique ID of that particular user. So if we copy this unique ID, if we go here to user, if we search for it, user is abcd@red7.com. If we go back, if we take the second one, come back to data, search for this one. This is the second user, xyz@abc.com, right? So what this particular flow did is it ran the workflow, backend workflow for 20 different users. And this user here refers to every user in this particular record list. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. I'll quickly show you. I should have got an email for the verification of my email address. Let me check. Should have got that. In junk or something. Bubbles email system is not very reliable. That's a problem. Let me just check the email. Scheduled for me at 3:26. It's 3:28 already. It should have run. But you can see that it has run for a few users already, and there is a list of tasks that are scheduled to run in a few minutes. If I refresh this again, okay, one was already run from 3:28. In a few seconds, this will also be gone from here. Right, you can check that. Not yet. 30 seconds between each run. I've not got the email. Yeah, so 3:28, that's gone. You can also see for IDs, this thing has a unique ID. Okay. I've not got the email. Users email. Let me quickly check the time if it's there in junk or something like that. No. Oh, did I? Yeah, I got it. So it just took some time. Let me show you. So this is the email that I've got. Again, from Sayadri, begin C1, no reply at bubbleapps.io, right? And you can see that the subject is your magic link. And here it is, hello, you requested a magic link to log into your account. Please note that this link can only be used to log in once and lasts for 1 hour. Okay, while we had made it as 2 hour, okay, we didn't change the uh, content here, right? So here it gives us 1 hour by default. If you're changing the link expiry, then we can change the content here. However, now what I'll do is I'll use this to log in, right? So I'm going to use this particular link, copy this link, come back over here, use the link. Now I want to show you that for this particular user as well, which is this particular user as well, right? The email verified is nothing. Okay. Let me open this link. Right. We had created this, but once the email verification is done, we can redirect them to some other page. Let me just refresh this. Okay, done. Yeah, email verified is yes. Okay, you see that it has done the email verification for the right user. Did you understand this? Any questions? Anybody? Or is this clear? Any questions on how do we use the email verification part using the magic link? Is this clear, everyone? Okay, great. So I would like all of you to practice the backend workflow, the recursive workflow, and the email verification part so that you can schedule it, okay, on a list of things. Can you all start doing that? Okay, these three things you can practice. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm here to answer them. Yes, the only thing that we have asked them to do is verify the email, right? So one of the things that we can do, okay, because it's very confusing for the users, like we saw here, it has come here and nothing happened then. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to the page verify, right? And we can over here, okay, we can add the next one, which is error alert, and we can tell them email verified. Mention your email have been verified successfully. Okay, and give a short delay, add a pause before the next action, 1 second, 2 second, whatever you prefer, and then send them to the page, right? Which page? You can send them to probably index page or home page, which is our the thing. Okay, so I'll just refresh this page. Okay, just to show you how this may look like. You can see email verified. Your email has been verified successfully. And now they are redirected to this particular page. Okay, that way you are giving them a confirmation that their email has been verified, and you are also redirecting them to the page where they can do something on your app. Is this clear? Hare Kishan? Yes. Others? Any questions? You can practice it and ask your questions as and when you get stuck. No problem. I'll be here. Just feel free to put it in the chat or unmute and ask. Who is that standing there? Did you finish it? Anybody who's completed? Type out done in the chat box. Okay, Hari Kishan, thank you for reporting that. Shows that you are the only person who has tried it, right? And what you can do is you can share your app at support@red7.com, right? So let me share my screen and show you what needs to be done. And you have to go to settings. You have to go to collaboration. And here you can add support@red7.com. Click on invite. Okay. And you can see admin option available. Check that box. Okay. Once you're done, please ping me your app URL. Okay. I'll give you a paid plan. Rest of you guys, what are you doing? Remember, I have nothing to lose, guys. So Harikishan, you can refresh your app and you should be able to see that you have got a paid plan. I mean, you can actually use the backend workflow and everything. You'll also have access to paid plugins now. Who is that standing there? Has he completed? Anybody who has done it? Finished? So, Harikishan, yes, it will ask you for the username and password because now you have got the paid plan, right? So, what you have to do is you have to go to your app, okay, go to settings, and in general, right, you should be able to see something like username and password, right? And by default, the username will be username and password will be password, right? You can't uncheck this uh, unless you are in the agency plan that we have given you. Okay, so use that username and password onto your screen which pops up, right? This is not the username and password that you use to register. This is the username and password that you have to use so that you can use the paid features that we've given you. Okay, this is called agency plan. Let me know if you are able to get that. Okay, great. People on YouTube, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you everyone for joining in. See you during the next session.